Hey everybody, it's Yasmin Boland here. I hope you're really well. How are you feeling as we move towards the full moon? So, I'm okay. I was up till 4 a.m. working last night, and at 4 a.m. I thought, oh, maybe I should just take tomorrow off and sleep all day. And a couple of things happened which absolutely showed me to show up here today. The first was I actually the daily moon message that I do every day on Facebook didn't work out for some reason, so I had to do it again. So initially one of my team wrote to me to say, you know, we don't have a daily moon message little picture that I do every day. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just did a really quick one that said something like, it's 4 a.m. so if you don't see me today, now you know why. Because I thought I'll just let people know if I'm not here, they'll know why. And for whatever reason, I think I made a mistake in it, or my team member actually thought I did, but in fact I think I didn't. It's a bit complicated, but it's to do with the moon, where the moon was, because the moon I think is changing signs today. Anyway, so I had to redo the picture. So I thought, okay, well I'm not going to make it about me and the 4 a.m. I'll do a proper one. So I did a proper one, which was basically about the fact that it's getting to the full moon and everyone's starting to get a bit more heated. I don't know if you've noticed. So that was that, and I thought, okay, well, whatever. If I'm here, I'm here. If I'm asleep, I'm not. And then this morning, so I went to bed about 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m., and I hardly ever do that anymore. I used to do that a lot when I was single back in the day, but I don't really do it anymore. I think when you've got a family, you kind of have to like keep relatively sociable hours. Anyway, but you know, plus it being just coming up to the full moon, a lot of people find it much harder to sleep, and I'm one of them. It was actually, yeah, I mean, my mind had just become so active around the time of the full moon, and about the time of the full new moon as well, actually. But anyway, so I went to sleep about 4, and I thought, well, que sera, sera, I'll see what happens. I'm very much into my self-care at the moment, so I thought if I'm asleep at 11 a.m, then well, actually 10 a.m, because before I come on here, I do my chanting. Anyway, so I thought, well, I'll just see how I go. If I don't do the chanting, you know, I think the divine will forgive me for having a day off, because we've been chanting for something like 70 days now, weekdays. And anyway, so I woke up at 9:45 London time, which gave me enough time to get up, get clean, and you know, get dressed and get on the chanting. So I woke up, it was 9:45. I thought, oh, okay, well I kind of have got time, I suppose. And so I'll get up. So I got up. Actually, my husband then brought me up a cup of coffee at about 10 a.m, which we hadn't arranged. You know, that he would wake me up at 10 a.m, because normally I'm up at 6 a.m. And so he turns up with a cup of coffee, so like another reason to wake up. And then on top of that, I've been doing this chanting, which you're all invited to. It's on Zoom every day. We had about 70 people there today. It's brilliant. We do the Maha chant, for those of you who haven't done it yet, which is against all negativity, especially fear at the moment. And then I got a note from 2 of my friends. There's people all over the world doing the chanting. There's actually 2 of us in London. And Laura, who's one of the other girls who's doing the chanting, she does it kind of at half an hour before I do. And she wrote me a note saying she couldn't make it today for whatever reason. And so she was going to send all her people to our group. And I was like, okay, well, I've woken up on time, I've been brought a cup of coffee, and now I'm being told that Laura wants me to do the chanting because she can't do it. So like, I was not meant to not do the chanting today, which meant I was obviously also meant to come here today. So it was just a little thing that happened, but I thought it's a kind of a good illustration of following the signs, which is something that I would recommend we all do as we live a more intuitive life. Even my husband, who, you know, he's pretty down-to-earth French man, you know, even him, when I told him this, he was like, well, Yasmin, it looks like you're meant to do this today. I'm like, yep, I'm totally meant to do this. So think about your own life where you're being encouraged to follow the signs, okay? As we move towards the full moon, it's really important to pay attention to where the universe is slightly pushing you. And in 1999, I was lucky enough to go to San Diego, where I had a 3-hour one-on-one session with none other than Deepak Chopra. And he told me about something called Synchro Destiny, which he was working on at the time. And Synchro Destiny is basically what I'm talking about here. It's when everything kind of just lines up, you know, a bit like a space station docking, and it all lines up, and it's kind of what's meant to be, and it becomes clear what's meant to be. And I think the universe is sending us signs and symbols and signals all the time. So the thing is, are you listening? And in fact, when we use oracle cards, that is a kind of a way of tapping into this. You know, we use these cards, like I think there's 44 cards in my deck. You know, there's in tarot, I know for a fact there's 78. You know, 78 cards. I think there's 44 in my deck. That's 44 symbols. And so when we use tarot cards or oracle cards, we are actually tapping into the fact that life is just one big hologram. And I'm reminded of a conversation I had with Robert Holden. Who knows Robert Holden? Amazing Hay House author. And he was saying, life is just one big metaphor. You know, like whatever is going on in your life, it's just an externalization of what's going on inside of you. And at the time, Robert was renovating his house. This was probably 6 months ago. I met him at I Can Do It in Birmingham. And he was renovating his house. And at the time, he didn't have a roof. There was no roof on his house. And he was saying, you know, that's a metaphor for where I am in life at the moment. I feel like there's no roof. I guess he meant there was no limit, you know. It reminds me of that song, if you feel like a room without a roof, you know, like no limits. And he was saying everything is a sign. Everything is a sign. The cards are kind of like the obvious signs that we get, and I will do a card in a minute. But I just wanted to mention all that as we move towards the full moon, because, you know, one thing so many of us have done, I think, in lockdown is we've got more in touch with our spiritual side and our intuitive side, partly because we've had the time. You know, even though I'm still staying up till 4 a.m. sometimes to work, I'm finishing the Moonology Diary 2022. I haven't done it yet. I haven't finished it yet. But, you know, we're all working hard, but we all have more downtime and more alone time. And being alone, you know, doesn't sound like the best thing in the world, but it's when you can do some of your most important spiritual work, you know. And obviously, as a planet, we are being called right now to do the spiritual work and to do the change. And again, you know, obviously on everyone's minds this week is the coronavirus, and also the race issues coming up in the States, you know. Like, even though I'm not American, I don't live in America, you know, only probably 33% of the people who see this are probably going to be from the States eventually. But it affects us all. What happens in one part of the world affects the whole world. It's like, you know, we are all connected. And the full moon is going to be an eclipse. We're about to move into eclipse season. You know, tomorrow night UK time, so probably about 36 hours from now. I was thinking, when is the moon going to be her fullest? Because I'm going to do my full moon ceremony. And in fact, the full moon is going to be taking place sort of 8 something p.m. in the UK. So I'm going to get out tomorrow night. That's tomorrow night. I'll get out tomorrow night with my fire pit. But let's talk about the eclipse, you know, which is happening at the time of the Venus retrograde and the coming Mercury retrograde. So eclipses basically reveal the shadow, you know. That's not something they necessarily teach you in astrology, but it's something I've come to realize, and I've seen other people say over the years, that eclipses reveal our shadow side and what needs to be worked on, you know, and what's happening in the world right now. I mean, on the one hand, we've got a situation where the world has returned to a very different state. You know, you can see the Himalayas in the distance from miles away as opposed to just seeing fog. There are fish in the canals of Venice, as I was saying the other day. You know, on the other hand, there have been photos circulating of places where people have been having weekend picnics now that we're all allowed out on the weekend, and leaving all their mess everywhere, you know, and that's like two sides of the same coin. It's showing the shadow side. We've all been like, wow, we've let the world kind of, you know, heal a bit for the last 2 months while we've all stayed home instead of going out and polluting it every day as we just do as humans. But now we have to, like, the shadow side is, yeah, but what's going to happen when we get out? Are we actually going to change, you know? And when I saw those photos, I don't know, have you seen the photos on the internet of allegedly places where people had picnics last weekend and the mess they left? Part of me hopes they're fakes. I hope it's fake news. I like to think that we've grown as a person, but, you know, as we move into the eclipse season tomorrow night, you know, it will reveal our shadow side. It reveals to us what needs to be worked on. So any blow-ups you have, like yesterday, today, tomorrow, any blow-ups you have, they're revealing your shadow, the part of you that you actually need to work on. And retrogrades show us what can change. Retrogrades show us, remind us that change is possible. So it's like we're having our shadow side revealed. The shadow side of humanity is being revealed. And the retrogrades are showing us and reminding us that change is possible. So even though we know we have a dark side that we need to work on, the retrograde reminds us that we can work on it and we can change things. So it's kind of a good time for to have the retrograde as we move into the retrograde season. So, and just to let you know, there are going to be three eclipses. The first one is going to be tomorrow night. The next one will be in 2 weeks. So tomorrow night is going to be a full moon eclipse. In 2 weeks' time, it'll be a new moon eclipse. And then 2 weeks after that, will be a third eclipse. Will be the second full moon eclipse of this season. So there is a lot going on energetically right now, but what I'm going to ask you to do, I'm going to do a card in a minute, but what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to think about what is being revealed to you about your shadow side or your dark side, the part of you that you don't necessarily want to show the world. What is being revealed to you, and are you willing to work on it to change? Okay, it's a pretty big question. And also, if you are not sleeping, like I couldn't sleep last night, you know, it's a time to do meditations, it's a time to do chanting, and I've also put a link for the full moon kit, free kit that I offer, which has the full moon meditation, which I think I saw the other day has been listened to something like 50,000 times. It's a lot of times. And I'm going to play that to myself tonight as I go to sleep. If you're a subscriber, you should have had a link to it. If you're not, just follow the link above and you'll get your free copy. It's a meditation and it's about forgiveness as well, which we'll do tomorrow in my backyard. So I just want to say, like, this time tomorrow I'll come back and I'll talk a bit more about the eclipses. But it's more like, this is more like a teaching thing, or not even a teaching thing, but a discussing thing. Whereas the full moon ceremony tomorrow night is really just, it's a ceremony and it's from the heart. And it's just something I do. And I just stick the camera on so you can join me if you want to and be a part of it. All right. Okay. Oh, it's the card, it's one of the cards of the moment. It's not the powerful change card again, but it's another one that's come up so many times. Work through your fears. Work through your fears. And the full moon is when all the fears come up, okay? So whatever it is you want, so just say, for example, what you really want right now is you want to open your own holistic healing center, just for random thing, because I know loads of people want to do that, or you want to write a book, or you want to fall in love, fall in love. Your answer is work through your fears. And we've never had a better time to work through our fears than right now. And I've had fears coming up this lockdown, and I have to thank Kali, the goddess Kali. I've been doing the chanting, and it's really helped me process the fears, because she helps you to work through the fears. Fears, you can't just ignore them. Doesn't work. Full moon, all the fears come up, all the emotions come to the surface, all the better for us to deal with them. So I am going to leave it there for today. I will see you back here this time tomorrow, and we will talk a little bit more about the fact that we are moving into the eclipse season. So it's a time to live consciously. Elaine says, oh, I feel a rush of anxiety after getting that card. Well, then that really is for you, Elaine. Work through your fears. Lots and lots of love. See you tomorrow, guys.